All right, we'll start with an introduction. Tell us a little bit about who you are personally and professionally.
Amy, I've been in Bay County 50 years. I've enjoyed life here. It's always been a challenge to live in Bay County. It's always been a lot of fun. It's a beautiful place. I remember Thomas Drive when it was a two-lane road. Matter of fact, it wasn't barely a high school. There wasn't even a high school on the beach. There was only an elementary school. We used to play Little League ball back there, or at least practice. I came up through the Bay High School, graduated from Gulf Coast. 23 years old, I bought my first restaurant called the Cheese Barn. I was there for a number of years, and then I moved over to K. Hall's Butcher Shop in Delhi for 10 years, sold it to the guy that recently died, unfortunately. You know, it's next April would have been his 20th year of ownership there. He did great things, and I, like the rest of the community, I mourn his loss, but what a place, and he did such a great job. I also went back to Cheese Barn again and opened that back up on Harrison Avenue right across the Martin Theater for about 10 years, and transitioned out of it in 2013 the hard way. That was my Hurricane Michael. The state of Florida and I didn't have a real good relationship there for a while, but nonetheless, I did a couple of jobs around town and finally found my occupation in teaching. And I've been at Arnold High School. This is my 5th year teaching, and I truly love it. But I also have an obligation in my heart to the citizens of Bay County, and that's why I'm running.
All right, well, that was the next question. Why are you running for office? Because if folks don't know, you were a county commissioner back in 1996, you started?
96 to 2000. And of course, I served on the Downtown Improvement Board, the Community Redevelopment Agency, the City of Panama City Planning Board as precursors to becoming a county commissioner. I served on appointed boards, and then I got elected in 96. And we had a good 4 years. We solved a lot of issues in our community. There's still a lot out there that's going to have to be addressed again.
Why are you jumping back in, though?
Well, there's one little bit of unfinished business. I have a love for the East Pass. For our bay. And when you're no longer a commissioner anymore, it doesn't mean you just walk off the job and forget about it. And I've watched things for 20 years. And for 12 years, I've been waiting for somebody to do something about the East Pass. It's the future of our bay. And if I don't do anything else, that's the one thing I'm going to do my damnedest to get open.
So that would be a priority for you then?
That would be the single priority. You know, beyond that, I think that we have an opportunity right here with everything that's going on, all the negativity about this investigation and that investigation. It's time, I think, we consider going to 7-commissioner board instead of a 5-commissioner board. Think about how that gives more strength to the people and less strength to the money.
What would that take?
I don't know. I've not had a chance to research that.
You're going to look into that, huh?
Absolutely. That'd be one of the first things.
Is that a priority, though? Is that something you want to do if elected in this term?
Why not? I've got 2 years to do something. That's 2 good things right there I could do.
All right. Now, you brought up the current FBI investigation that's going on around Bay County, which that is the reason the District 4 seat is open.
Yes.
Basically. Everybody says you can trust me. Why should we trust you?
In 1997, there was a group within the community that wanted to build a toll bridge. It had been going on as a battle for like 13 years. You may recall, it was July 31st of 1997. We had a big meeting out at the chamber, at the big building at Gulf Coast out there. 300 people were in the room, and they were all saying, we want you to build a toll bridge, build a toll bridge. Even Mr. Chapman and Mr. Hilton got up, and the Chamber of Commerce, everybody said build a toll bridge. And I wasn't satisfied that we had done enough to lobby for our money, for our efforts out there. I thought that that would have really put a hurt on a lot of people. I put together a 9-point motion that luckily won 3 votes, and we said no to a toll bridge. We said yes, we're going to get behind DOT. It laid out a whole new plan, and we wound up getting funding for it in 2 years. And we don't pay any tolls to go across that bridge anymore.
That's a good answer, except it doesn't explain why people should trust you.
Because I stood up against the money. I stood up against the odds. I stood up for what was right for Bay County, what was right for the citizens of Bay County. If that's not a good enough demonstration, I don't know what is.
All right, let's talk about money. Your campaign, I see, have about 10 grand in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not as much as some, more than others. Some of it you gave to yourself, which is allowed,
sure,
right, by campaign rules.
Sure.
Are there any...
I worked an extra job this summer. I did.
Is there any group or organization you would refuse money from? Because some become a conflict.
1999, I think it was, maybe 2000, I promoted the idea of having an ethics ordinance with a $250 maximum donation for commissioners back in the day. I was kind of surprised to learn that now it's $1,000 maximum donation. That's a lot of money. Most people that have given my campaign, if not all, are people that I know directly. I've had wonderful relationships with them. One of them I used to play football, well, two of them actually I used to play football with. One was in Little League when I was a coach over there. He's one of my biggest supporters. And then people on the beach out there that support me in the restaurant business, they know I know what they go through, and especially what they've been through recently with this 50% capacity.
Well, let's say a big company came to you, maybe someone who does business with the county, and said, Robert, we're going to give you $1,000. My wife's going to donate, I'm going to donate, company's going to donate. But as a company, you know you're going to have to do business with if you become a county commissioner. Do you have any guidelines? Would you take that money?
I'm my own treasurer, so I see the checks. I know where the money comes from, Amy. I sleep good at night.
So the answer is no?
No money.
You wouldn't take, okay.
Why do you think I've only got $10,000? You think I can't raise more than that? I raised $47,000 in my last race in 2002 against George Gaynor. You know, George was a Democrat back then. I had 47,000. George had about 112. He said it was his own money. I want to believe him.
All right, let's talk about talking about personal or professional conflicts of interest. Do you have any that you would have to give up if elected?
I don't think so. I'm a school teacher. I love being a school teacher. I want to try to do both if I can. I think I can.
How can you make the meetings if you're in class?
Well, there's a young lady, Kristen, I think is her first name. She's my regular substitute. Make arrangements with her. I don't take much time off, so I can make the meetings. I'd make sure that she's well provided, well taken care of.
Now, I know, of course, being a county commissioner, you've been to a county commission meeting, but have you been to any recently?
No.
No? Do you know what the budget is currently?
No.
What was it when you were in office?
God, you're asking a question I can't answer.
Okay. Do you live in District 4?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you do?
I have for 2 years. I live in West Bay, right up close to the church up there on 388.
Okay, and that includes
It's
in
my
District
homestead.
4.
Yeah.
Okay, very
I've
good.
lived in Bay County close to 50 years of my life.
But you live in that house?
Yeah.
You currently live there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not real big, but it's my home.
All right. Now, over the years, decades, there have been these men-only dinners that have been held. I don't want to call out names because there's several of them, but they were private parties that people who are in the know, businessmen and elected officials, have gone to over the years. And in recent years, it's become debatable. Voters think that perhaps you shouldn't go to those type of things because you're dealing with maybe the person running the dinner is someone the county does business with. Have you ever been to any of those dinners?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I used to cook for them. I did I guess it's Kramer now, but I used to do Tommy Thomas's back in the day. I remember one night we cooked like 400 steaks over there.
But
when I was at K-Halls, we did a lot of them.
All right. And if elected, would you still go if you were invited? You don't see it as a conflict?
I
Or
don't
perception?
know well, perception may be, especially in a lot of things going on now. It depends on what I was doing. I'm going to tell you first and foremost, I'm going to go to a ball game with my son before I go to one of those things.
Right. But if you won't take money from a company that may or may not do business with the county because you don't want it to be seen as a conflict or someone using their power through you, why would you go to that dinner when perhaps somebody throwing it does business with the county? You know you're going to
Well, a friend of mine in the furniture business, I don't know how he does business with the company, but he usually invites me to his. Then a lawyer friend I've been friends with for 20 plus years, 25 years longer. I don't know. I don't travel in those circles anymore. I haven't traveled in those circles in years.
But you won't commit to not going?
If and I'm not going to name names, and there's nobody in that A, B, C, or D company that would name me, that would invite me anyway. They're not going to invite me. They're not going to like me. And that's probably why there's so much money in this race for somebody else and not me.
All right. Let's talk about Hurricane Michael. Of course, it destroyed many parts of Bay County. A lot of folks are still recovering. What would you do as a county commissioner to kind of move the process? Let's keep recovering maybe a little faster.
Well, you know, back after the bridge debate, and I hate to go back to that, but we hired a lobbyist. You know, the game in Washington, D.C. is different than any other game you'll know. We paid about $90,000 a year for a company called Alcalde and Fay. And they did our lobbying effort up there. They won us money from the federal government, $11 million, when our congressmen on both sides of the fence didn't even vote for the bill that we were working on. but they got us $11 million. That's a pretty good return on investment when you spend $90,000 per year and you get $11 million back. I think we can go back with lobbying again. I think that as long as the game's is played that way, we don't need to be sitting on the sidelines with our hands in our pockets. We need to be up there fighting for everything we can get.
Attracting business to the area will help, of course. That's always been a thing that the EDA and the chamber and elected officials work on. Do you believe in offering incentives to get companies to come here?
If we have matching resources for travel, I guess for like rail and being able to push products around that matches up with that, I think it'd be a good utilization of money, a good utilization of tax base. You know, I do the cooperative education program at Arnold High School. I've got 112 students that I work with every day. They go to school part of the day and they work part of the day. I've got the largest program in Bay County, and you know, I think we ought to expand those programs on this side of the bridge. There should be ways for people to have employment in those kind of places, or at least trained to be in those kind of places. You know, businesses look at a lot of different things. They look at quality of life, they look at the intermodal transportation, the port, the rail, whatever they might need to move their product, but they're also going to look and see if there's a workforce available. And I think developing that workforce in the schools is important.
Were there tax incentives back in the 90s to bring in companies? Do you remember?
I don't think there weren't that many we granted that I could ever recall.
But would you be in favor of that now? I mean, times have obviously changed a little bit.
It depends on the company. I mean, look at it like this. We just learned through this pandemic, I call it a nightmare, we just learned how much products are built in China, how many things are made in China. Why can't we get some of those here in Panama City? What's wrong with that? I mean, you just got to go talk to the people, and you just don't send them out a brochure or send them out some fancy video. You got to go one-on-one. That's what I'm all about. Let's make the appointment. I'll go talk to them. Let's see what we can do.
Now, you mentioned the pandemic. That's one of the issues county commissioners have had to deal with. What do you think about the way they've handled it up until now, and would you do anything different if you were already in office?
One of the great things that we have as an asset, not many people talk about, Bob Micah. When I was a county commissioner, Bob Micah was our emergency management guy. He won awards. He went to the hurricane conferences and he won awards for his thinking and how he approached things. When people say, well, what do you think is going to happen with the county? I said, well, I think the county's in pretty good shape with Hurricane Mike as far as Bob Micah going. He provides a good base of knowledge and a good approach at things. But you know, still, he is an employee of the board, and the board has to point the direction for him to go.
All right. One of the things we hear when people run for office is there'll be more transparency when I'm elected. Do you feel that way, and what does it mean to you?
Well, you know, the age has changed. You know, 20 years ago, I remember a county commissioner, it wasn't me, but a county commissioner at the end of one of the meetings, he sat there and he said, well, you know, there's this thing called the internet out there nowadays, and there's only about 2% of the households in Bay County that have this, and it's probably never going to be much of anything, but you know, how wrong he was. The opportunity for communication now through smartphones and through digital technology is just phenomenal, and I like it. I don't mind it a bit. My brochures and stuff, I've got my home address on there. I hope nobody comes and firebombs me or makes me drink antifreeze or anything like that. But
so you'd be transparent through providing your phone number and lending a listening ear all the time. Like, how would you be transparent? What does that mean to you? You know, it's a catchphrase we hear over and over, but what does it mean to you as far as what can voters expect?
Well, what the expectation is the same thing I was when I owned K. Hall's Deli on 23rd Street over there. I was a county commissioner all 4 years when I owned that. People could come right in there and talk to me anytime they wanted to. I mean, my phone number is public. It's not a foreign thing. People know me.
All right, let's talk about the rules and the guidelines. You know, sometimes things aren't illegal, but they look unethical. There's that perception, you know, perception is reality to the voters that maybe you're not doing something right. There are guidelines that you have to go through a program now, or when you get elected, to look at the ethics and the morals and the state guidelines. Have you already looked through those? Do you know what they are?
We had them back in the old days. They were just different. They're probably stricter now. No, I have not.
Gifts and whatnot.
Yeah. The important thing is I got to get there first, Amy.
Well, you got to know what you're up for, don't you think?
Oh, I do know what I'm up for. Yeah, that's the one thing I've got to offer more than anybody. It takes about a year for somebody to be a really effective county commissioner, for them to really know who the game is. You know, I refereed football for 15 years. You got 5 different people on the field. You got the umpire, and you got the referee, and the 2 guys on the side, and you got the back judge. They all have a different degree of experience. They all have a different perspective from the ball game, but they know the rules, they know the players sometimes, but they know the game, and they understand what's going on. and they're going to have to make the calls they have to make, whether they like it or not. I make the calls. I've made several calls in life that I didn't want to make, but I made them.
We talked earlier about the FBI investigation, which led to the opening of the District 4 County Commission seat. Have you ever had a run-in with the law? Have you ever been arrested?
Almost. I was I was a county commissioner in January of 1997. I got a call to go to Pirates Cove down at the Lake Powell, and the lake was flooding. It was a big storm. It wasn't my district, but I went anyway. Some people that I knew called me at K-Halls, and I went on down there, and sure enough, the lake had come up about a foot. And we found this little statute in the Florida statutes that said in the event of a coastal storm, a county could supersede the state's authority in protection of upland structures. That's a big blurberly burb lawyer speak, but essentially we got about 12 guys, and we went down to the east side of that pier down there, and we started digging. We knew that if all we had to do was breach that lake a little bit. The lake was here and the Gulf was here, and the lake was filling up and flooding homes. All we had to do is breach it a little bit, and it would flow out, and eventually it would open up. There was a guy named, I won't name his name, Mike, and he was filming us, and he had called the Marine Patrol back then, and the Marine Patrol came out and they threatened to arrest me. And I tried to explain to him about why I was doing what I was doing, and I felt like I had every prerogative in the world. Well, we finally worked it down to where I had to go back and make several phone calls and go through all the lawyer speak, but at 10 o'clock that night we had an emergency meeting of the county commission. About 10:15, 10:20, after we'd informed all the commissioners about what was going on, Commissioner Sparks was the chairman. He asked Joy Bates, she was the county manager at the time, said, "Joy, go get the governor on the phone." And so, you know, imagine calling the governor, Lawton Childs, at 11:30 at night, because that's what it was in Tallahassee. And one of your news people went with us out there, and I think Kendall Minimus was at the News Herald then, and we were in my Jeep. We had negotiated an agreement to dig a 3-foot wide by 3-foot deep ditch out there to open that pass. It was kind of an interesting event. They didn't ever arrest me. I mean, that was just a threat. But
just generally speaking, in your life, have you ever had a run-in with the law?
Absolutely not.
Or never been
No, I haven't
arrested?
had a speeding ticket in years. I mean, 20 years maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
I think we can all understand the speeding tickets. We all need to slow down just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, we've come to the end. I'll give you a moment to tell people, why should they choose you?
It takes about a year for a person to get really adjusted to being a county commissioner. You got to know what you can trust. How much information do you have? Do you have enough information to make a real decision? Or do you need more information? Or you need time to study something? You need time to listen and act based on what you know is your best information. And is there an alternative that maybe somebody hasn't thought of? You have to be thinking on your feet like a boss. I was a boss in this town for 32 years. I've employed over 300 people through my days. I've lived and grown up in this community. I know what the history of this community is. I'm not offering my services for anything more than just 2 years, just to start with. And if that works and everybody's happy with me, we'll see what happens from there. But it's time that we have somebody that goes in that has already got some experience, that already has some direction, already has an idea about what they want to do day one. Not day 47, not day 97 down the road. And not to say anything negative about the people that are running this race. I'm sure they're fine people. They've got a good intent, and they've got 2 years from now they can run again. But I think right now I'm the people's choice in this, and I think they can depend on me.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy to be here.